The vast spaces of Western Canada breed hardy men, like the Indian cowboy in big hat, bright shirt, and worn leather chaps. Like the ranch hand, jack of all trades, pressed into service for the rush of work at the spring branding. Like the cattleman, counting his herd by the 1,000 head and planning his pastures over 100,000 acres. They are men who pitch their tent on the rolling plains, who like a free life away from the crowd, their days out of doors, and their work on horseback. The foothill land of the Rockies is the Canadian cattle country. South from Calgary and out from the old cow towns of Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, the prairies are too dry for grain farming. But here and through the Cypress Hills, the soil and the climate are good for cattle raising. Streams from the melting snow in the mountains provide watering places, and foothill springs keep the rivers free from ice all year round. The ground is uneven, but between the river coulees and the long valleys stretch the high plateaus covered with the dry, rich prairie grass. It cures on the ground in the fall, making a natural winter feed. And here in winter, warm winds called Chinooks blow from the Pacific across the Rockies, through the Crow's Nest Pass, licking the snow from the grass so the herds can forage. This country where the buffalo once roamed and the prairie wool is ideal range for the white man's cattle. In the old days, cattle used to die by thousands during the hard winter. Now, cattlemen stack hay near the sheltered corrals, thousands of tons of it a year, to carry their animals over the hard season. They also choose breeds carefully and cull out poor type animals. White-faced cattle, Herefords, are most common in the West. The modern rancher treats his cattle for warble flies using a pressure sprayer. The pests spoil the meat and make holes in the hide. They lay their eggs in the hairs of the shanks. The larvae eat through the flesh and out through a hole in the back. The herd is sprayed twice in the spring for prevention, for healthy cattle get a better grade in the fall market. Modern ranching is business on a large scale. When Sandy Gilchrist counts his cattle, one match equals 100 head, and he's holding a handful of matches. Along the Milk River in the spring, the white-faced Herefords move to fresh grazing land. Part of the way is through the barren valley. Here, before the coming of the white man, the Cree Indian made his home under the shelter of the sandstone ridges. Tens of thousands of years ago, glaciers gouged out weird formations called writing stone, and skeletons of dinosaurs remind us that centuries ago, the land here was lush and fertile, pasturage for the huge prehistoric beasts. Now, how did that youngster get up there? The little fella hasn't traveled this way before. He's not very old yet. Are you all right? Now let's see what we can do about this. There we are. Hurry, let's catch up with the rest of the gang. Trouble again? What a life. You better cheer up, fella. There's a long way to go yet. The ranges cover a lot of territory, and moving the herd from winter feeding grounds to summer pastures may take several days. Pastures must not be overgrazed, and a plan for pasturing has probably been well worked out beforehand. Ranchers figure on about 60 acres of grazing land per animal, so an average large outfit of 5,000 head will have a range area of hundreds of thousands of acres. The cattle are separated out at the ranch, and old cows and dry cows, less desirable cattle, are taken out and sent to the packers. The nearby grass is left for winter forage, and in summer the herd moves out to the outlying areas of the range. In the fall, the foreman and the boys cut out the steers for market. They work hard, 11 hours a day in the saddle sometimes. Many of the steers have been handled only twice in their lives and are half wild. It takes teamwork, 5 men working together to handle 1,400 head. Usually the cattle that are going to be sold move to a special beef pasture near the railroad, one with good grass and good water supply, so the animals will be at top weight on market day. Sometimes, instead, the cattle move to feeding lots for several weeks of more concentrated feeding before market. They get a scientific diet of wheat and barley, hay and pulp, every day 60 pounds, and every day that 60 pounds of feed makes 2.5 more pounds of steer, till each animal is 1,300 pounds of finished beef on the hoof. From the feeding lots or the ranges, on the road to market, cattle have right of way down Main Street. Shipping day at the railway corrals is a big event. Cattlemen come from miles around to ship and collect. They have watched the market quotations carefully to see what is the best time to sell. First the fat cows and heifers, then the steers. Young cattlemen come too, for stock talk and fun on their own account. The mark of the Diamond Lazy A. Royal Canadian Mounted Police are on hand to check the brand marks. The West has always raised cattle. Prime beef for Canadian kitchens and camps, for the tables of England, Alaska, Newfoundland, and the West Indies is rolling out from the Western Canadian cattle country.